Hey guys, welcome on board. Hey, my name's Simon. I'm a team leader out in West Auckland, and we are going to start our Christmas favorites class. So this menu is an absolute menu of love and passion. We have got lots and lots of suggestions from our ladies about what dishes they wanted to do, and we got some really exciting things. And I do believe there might be some things you've probably not seen before. So just before we get started, just so we know how we're going to pitch our class tonight, I'm just going to put up a quick poll. And the quick poll is just going to find out from you guys as to whether we have owners or non-owners here. So if you wouldn't just mind just answering the question, and that way we know just how we're going to pitch our class to you guys. So we've got 90, oh my goodness, look at all this, guys. Awesome. So we've got 95% owners on. Okay, so we've got, oh, here we go. Okay, so we have actually got quite a few non-owners on. So ladies, when you're demonstrating the dishes, if you wouldn't mind just giving a little bit of a blurb about what you're doing for our non-owners, that would be absolutely amazing. Okay, well, I'm going to pass over to the lovely Julia. So, hi, Julia.
There we go. Unmute myself. Hopefully you can hear me now.
We certainly can.
Fantastic. Thanks, Simon. My name's Julia. I'm based in central Auckland. I've been a Thermomix consultant for quite many years now. I was also a consultant in London. I'm a qualified chef and I work in a lot of product development as well as food styling and a bit of catering as well on the side. Today I'm going to be making an Estonian kringle for you. A kringle is a beautiful plaited bread, and this one's got some really delicious filling in it that's got walnuts and cinnamon, but I'll talk a couple of different options through with you while we're going here. My handle for social media is Panna Cotta. That's P-A-N-N-A, and then Cotta, my last name, C-O-T-T-E-R, if you want to follow me on Instagram or Facebook. We're just going to start now with our Estonian kringle. I'm going to press the start cooking button, and it's asking me to pop in 30 grams of sugar. Now, with a kringle, you could also do it as a savoury one, but this one's a sweet option, and I'm popping in 30 grams of sugar into here, and then clicking the next button, and I've popped in the peelings of a lemon, so the zest of a lemon. It's asking me to pop the top back on, and I'm just going to blitz that up now to make a really delicious lemon sugar. So that's going to go inside our dough. So I'm just going to turn that up just for a few seconds.
So Zoom is going to mute any of the presenters if they make a lot of noise, which the Thermomixes obviously are. I can tell you guys that I actually made this kringle 2 times last year for Christmas. I made it once, and it was so delicious, I got requested to make it again. So I highly recommend this recipe.
I'm just going to...
Oh, the kringle.
120 grams of milk. And I've just got whole milk there. You could also use any alternative milks that you wanted to there. And I've got also 30 grams of butter. It says on unsalted, but I'm just using plain salted butter. I should prefer to use that. There we go. So
have you made this before, Julia?
I have made it before. I made it earlier in the week for my kids who loved it. And I'm going to make just a couple of tweaks to the recipe today. So,
oh, that sounds exciting.
I'm adding in 15 grams, it says 15 grams of fresh yeast. I'm just adding in one of these Edmonds packets of dried yeast. They're about 7 grams, and they're easy to use and they never fail. So I'm just popping this in here now, and it's just going to melt our butter and warm up our milk, and that's 1 minute. So that's just going to heat up now. So this recipe's got walnuts, and I've got some walnut halves and also some cinnamon. Today I'm going to change it up, and I'm going to add some cardamom, because I think cardamom's a fantastic flavour with walnuts, but also it's quite evocative of the festive season, and I really love cardamom, so I'm going to add a bit of cardamom in there as well. Also, the recipe calls for, it's quite delicious, a lovely glaze which is made with egg white and also with sugar. So I'm going to change that this time round, and I'm going to just do a simple sugar syrup using equal quantities of sugar and water, just heat it up to dissolve in the Thermomix, and I'm going to be brushing that on when it comes out of the oven. That's mainly because my kids suggested it last time around that that's how they'd like it, so they want it to be sticky when it comes out of the oven. So they're both options are very much open to you. Now, I'm going to add an egg yolk in here now. So this is an enriched dough. An enriched dough means that it's a bit like a brioche dough. It's got fats in it. So you've got your milk, you've got your butter, and you've got your egg. So just to be aware that this is going to take a little bit longer because the fats in that will retard the yeast. So you're going to actually have that slowing down your yeast and your rise, your proving. So just be aware of that. That's going to take a little bit longer than just a standard, say, pizza dough that doesn't have any of that in it. So I'm just going to grab my egg yolk from the fridge. Hopefully.
So Julia, does this mean that the dough itself is a lot more richer, like a brioche type of?
Absolutely, it is basically a brioche dough, because you've got the egg, the butter, and the milk, which are all components of a standard brioche. So and so it's known as an enriched dough. So really delicious. So I've added in the egg yolk, and I'm popping that in. It's just going to mix that in very quickly, just for a few seconds. And then I'm going to be adding in the flour, and that's going to be our dough. So we've got 300 grams of bread flour. Now, it calls for bread flour. That's your high-grade flour. So whenever you're making breads, you normally ask to use a high-grade flour. Don't use your plain flour. Use that for your cakes and for your biscuits. Make sure you use high grade for your breads, because you don't want, it's got a higher gluten, so you're going to have the stretchiness in a bread. You don't want that in your baking, because you're going to end up with chewy biscuits and chewy cakes, and that's not something you want. You want to have a lovely crumb, so always use standard flours.
That's a great tip. Thank you for that.
That's all right. And so I'm just going to add in my bread flour and a little pinch of salt.
So as Chris was just asking, we will be emailing everyone out after the class. So when you registered, we just grabbed your email address. So you will be getting an email with all the recipes and all the social links to all the consultants you'll see presenting tonight.
And so basically I'm going on now, and you'll see when I'm in knead mode, you've got the little wheat sheaf, and that's going to knead for 2 minutes. Now, instead of waiting for me to knead for 2 minutes, I'm going to actually just press next, and I'm going to bypass that step, and I'll do it later when I'm not on. So, Julia,
yes. We've just got a question from Anna. She's asking, can you use gluten-free flour for this?
Yes, you could. It won't be quite the same with breads and brioches. It's not quite the same. There is a really good gluten-free flour recipe for bread in the Sophia's Kitchen website, and she has a selection. It's a couple of starches and a couple of gluten-free flours that she makes a mix of, and that is pretty good. There is one organic one that works quite well. I think definitely give it a try. I have not tried it with just a standard supermarket blend before, but there might be someone else here who's online who actually has had success with brioches, gluten-free brioches, who might be able to give us some tips. Oh. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to change over and prepare the filling. So I've got another bowl here, which is very handy, and it's asking me for walnuts. Now, I really like walnuts, but if you're not such a fan, you could always do almonds, or hazelnuts would be really nice as well, and great at this time of year as well. It's lovely and festive. So I'm just going to pop in our walnuts and pop that on, and that's going to just blitz up 2 seconds very, very quickly. Slightly noisy perhaps.
So Julia,
Yes.
I know we've skipped a bit where you've kneaded the dough, but how long would you leave that to prove for?
So at the moment it's quite nice and warm, so I would say 1.5 to 2 hours is where I think it's probably best. So I've just blitzed up the walnuts just very roughly 2 seconds there on speed 5. Really lovely and quick, so much easier than having to chop that by hand. And then it's asking me to pop that aside, so I've done that. And then I'm adding 50 grams of butter back in here. So, and with that 60 grams of sugar. And then next up with our cinnamon. And like I say, I've popped some cardamom in there as well with my cinnamon. So I'm going to just press the button on that. And that's going to just melt and mix for 30 seconds. So what I've got here is the bread that I made earlier so that you didn't have to sit through an hour and a half waiting for it to rise. And you'll see here that it's lovely and pillowy. You'll see here we've got some really nice bubbles of air, which you're really looking for when you've got a nice rise like this. I just put it in here into just a greased bowl and covered it with a clean tea towel and left that in a warm place. So warm place at the moment, I just left it where the sun's coming in on the window. So it's not to leave it in a drafty place though. So you'll see here, I've preheated the oven to 120 and I have lined a baking dish with some parchment. And you'll see that that has mixed up a really delicious mix of cinnamon and butter.
Oh, wow, look at that.
Together. So what I'm going to do is just show you very quickly how to shape the kringle. So you could also do a plait, but I think that kringle works really well and it's a really nice thing to do with all sorts of different fillings. So I'm just going to get my Thermomat out. What I love about the Thermomat is the fact that it's telling me to, the next step here tells us to roll out our dough and it tells us to, where is it? Roll it out to a 40 by 50. And I love the fact that the Thermomat actually has the centimetres on there, so it makes it really, really easy for me to actually work out how big I need to roll this. So I'm just popping the dough out onto here. I'll just move my screen down so you can see what I'm doing. And I've got my rolling pin here, just going to, and the wonderful thing is with the Thermomat is that it doesn't stick to the silicone and it makes it really easy for rolling out. So
that dough looks amazing. It looks so soft.
It is. It's a beautiful soft dough, really nice, and that's because it's the enriched dough. So you've got extra fat in there from your butter and your milk and the egg yolk as well. So I'm just going to get that rolled out to about the right, into a lovely rectangle-ish.
I think out of all the things I own from the mix shop, I probably use the mats the most. They're just so handy to have.
I think they're really handy, and often I'll actually bake the biscuits and things like that on there as well. Now I've got my mixture. This is my cinnamon and butter mixture that we just blitzed up earlier, and I'm just going to very, oops, just made a hole there. Here we go. Very liberally going to pop this on with my spatula for a start. And then
so Julia, Teresa's just asking where you got your rolling pin from.
Oh, actually, I got this one in London. It's really good. It's particularly useful for doing cake work. So doing things like fondants and things like that, because it's non-stick. So it's really handy. I do love it and use it quite a lot. I don't know where you'd get it from here. Maybe one of the baking shops might have it. I suggest maybe giving them having a look online. But it's really useful and it's really large as well. So I would recommend using something like that, or a large rolling pin if you've got one. So I'll just flick this back down again, and just to, here we go, the rolling pin on the mix shop. Someone has just said that that's a really good one. So
the French rolling pin. Mm-hmm.
Yes, which is really good actually, because it's got the tapered ends, which is really great for rolling out pastries and things like that.
So could you add cloves and things to this, Julia?
Absolutely, cloves would work really well. I think those 3 C's, the cinnamon, the cloves, and the cardamom, are all fantastic festive flavours that everyone really likes. So I've just placed that on there. I'm just going to very quickly add my walnuts, and again, any nuts that you'd like to use would be welcome here. And
so just for Fiona, Julia is making the Estonian kringle.
And just to let you know, this would be something that you could really, if you didn't want to do the cinnamony, sugary mixture inside, this would be just as easy to do with something like Nutella and hazelnuts, for example. So really yummy, easy way to do it. So I'm just going to roll this out very unevenly, very evenly.
I'm glad you're doing this and not me, because mine always ends up a little bit chaotic when I get to this point.
Hopefully it's not going to be too chaotic side. So basically I'm going to leave one end. So I'm going to start cutting it about 2 centimetres or 3 centimetres from the top. And I'm just going to very carefully, hoping not to pierce my lovely silicone mat, my thermo mat, all the way down to the end. And I'm just going to open that up. Now, last year I worked on the Christmas edition of Mind Food, and we did one of these that had lots of rose petals on it at the end, which looked really nice, which is a great option. And it also had some rose water inside it. So if you're a fan of rose water and rose petals, that's another option for you. So,
Steph's just asking, Julia, if you wanted to make this a savoury dish,
yes.
what could you use for the filling?
Oh, that's a great question, Steph. I would say that you could do some cheese, if you wanted to make it with meat, you could do it with salamis or ham or anything like that, but you could do a vegetarian one with spinach and even pesto, for example. Pesto with some nuts would be delicious, with some cheese would be really yum as well. So I'll pop down here again so that you can see what I'm doing. So really, I'm just moving one side over the other, and we're just going to pop that like this, and then over again, and then over again. I'm running out of room. I'm going the wrong way. I should have gone the other way. It shows me that I should have thought about that. Here we go. And so you've got your beautiful kringle.
Wow, that looks amazing.
Here we go. And I'm going to pop that into the oven. Now I've heated up the oven to 180, and that's going to bake for about 20 minutes. So I'll see you when it's all done. I'm going to just tuck these ends underneath like
wow.
that. But you'll
that
see
looks so amazing.
Really pretty and really easy to do. You can see how easy it was, just basically wrapping one after the other. And so it looks a lot more difficult than it really is.
Cool. Hey, thank you for that. We're going to pass over now to the lovely Steph. Hi, Steph. How are you?
Very good, thanks.
What are you making for us tonight?
I'm going to make the strawberry salad with caramelized sherry vinaigrette. Now, I'm not a sherry drinker, so I had to go and find some sherry today. But the beauty of this one is you can have prepped kind of your salad in advance. I've actually added in some asparagus. Can you see?
Oh, wow.
So that's all ready to go. And then we're just going to start with the caramelized sherry vinaigrette. So I'm Steph. I'm in Central Auckland. My specialty is I'm a vegetarian, but married to a meat eater, so kind of get it both sides. And I do a lot of meal planning and that side of things. For the people that are new on tonight that don't have a Thermomix yet, if you can see my screen, you can see basically it's time, temperature, speed, and whatever you touch and enlarges, that's what the selector button is going to operate. So I'm going to call up by going into the menu in my week, the recipe. So I've planned the recipe into the system, which so I might show you sooner. And everything's kind of about the green button. So we're going to press start cooking. And it's saying, it's giving me a firm message at the beginning to guarantee the success of recipes using sugar stages. So this is a TM6 only recipe. You have to make sure the ingredients are more exact. Otherwise, it throws things out of kilter. So we're going to get going, and I've got 250 of raw sugar and some sherry vinegar. I think I had to go and find this one at Farrow's last time I needed to get some.
So as Steph was saying, if you guys haven't got a Thermomix yet, all the recipes we're doing today are actually based on guided cooking. So they're all available from our recipe database, which is currently about 75,000 fully guided recipes. So there's a great selection on there.
It's telling me don't put the measuring cup in. Normally, in a lot of the recipes, you're putting the measuring cup in, but we are doing the sugar stages and it's 10 minutes and I'm just, all I've got to do is just turn the dial.
That's awesome. Hey, thanks, Steph. So we're going to pass over to Jill now while we're waiting for your sugar stage to complete. How are you going, Jill?
Hi, everybody. My name's Jill, and I've been a Thermomix consultant for many, many years, and I'm probably the oldest one. Anyway, and I used to do catering, and my handle on Facebook is Nourish to Flourish, and on Instagram, Nourish with Thermo. I'm going into my week too. I just love using this my week. So I sit down at the beginning of the week and I think, what am I going to make? And I pick up the recipes and then I add to my week. So when I come in, all I have to do is go to my week and it's come up with today's cook today. So I'm going to be making the rosemary and sea salt crackers, and these are gluten-free, and I'm going to start cooking. I've got everything prepared, so I'm going to preheat my oven, and I've got my 2 trays set aside. I've got 2 sprigs of rosemary here. I'm going to put those in the bowl here.
I hope that's from your garden, Jill.
Oh, of course. And then I'm going to insert measuring cup, and I'm going to put it on round to speed 8 for 15 seconds.
Cool.
Also, I just want you to see that I made a batch of rosemary salt. It's just amazing. It's like so easy to do. It's only got 2 ingredients, but it's divine to use on anything. So that's the rosemary salt.
We actually made the rosemary salt at our Christmas DIY class last week, and it's such a popular option.
I know. Now it's asking me to put in 100 grams of tahini. This is tahini I made. It's like so easy to make. It's got 1 ingredient.
It's so much cheaper than buying it too, Jill.
Oh, I know. And I got organic sesame seeds. So, yeah, it's really fantastic.
So, Jill, Vicky's just asking, how big was your sprig of rosemary?
Oh, yes. Well, I had probably about 3 because I like rosemary. Probably about that long. And I just shredded it off. And,
cool.
Yeah. So the next I'm going to put in is coconut oil. So you can see what I mean about it being a very healthy cracker.
So tonight, Jill's actually going to be making us 2 different dishes. So the first dish she's making is the crackers. And then when we come back to her later, she's going to show us how to make cheese balls as well.
I am. And this has got 2 eggs. And so I'm one of these people, I just break the eggs straight into the bowl. No
Oh, you're
fuss.
loose and wild, Jill.
I know. And I've got black sesame seeds. So a lot of people don't have black sesame seeds, but they are beautiful. You know, you have your white ones. You could, and that's how you can actually make black tahini as well, and that is amazing. So these are just black sesame seeds.
Where did you buy those from, Jill?
You can buy them from the source. I'm very fortunate. Just up in Eastridge, I've got a source, and I go in there all the time. You can get it from Benin. I'm not particularly famous for Benin because sometimes I don't know how old their stuff is, but the source and good for is very rotational. I know that.
Cool, thank you.
So then I've got 80 grams of coconut flour. Now I've already pre-weighed this, so you don't have to.
So Jill, Anna's just asking, how long do the crackers keep for?
I think they'd keep for quite a few weeks. Keep them in an airtight container. Yeah. So now it's half a teaspoon of sea salt. So I've got Himalayan salt here. I'll just use that. And that was pepper, by the way, not salt. I just meant to. There's my salt. I've got my salt here. Sorry. There. My little salt tin. And now I'm just going to put the measuring cup in. And next, and it says to turn it round to speed 4 for 10 seconds.
So for those of you without a Thermomix, we run from speed 1, which is a slow stir, all the way to speed 10. And speed 10 is what we use for milling. So depending upon how far you turn the speed dial round depends entirely upon what the machine does.
Now I'm going to show you the dough. There's the dough there. Can you see it?
Oh, wow, look at that.
Yes, I know. Doesn't it look amazing? Oh, it smells beautiful. I'm going to get that out. I'm going to put that into 2, divided in half. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay it out on a piece of baking paper on a tray, put another piece of baking paper on top. I'll roll one lot out. And then what I do have, it says, get the pizza cutter. So I've got a pizza cutter. We've got this, haven't we, Si?
Oh, we do.
And I'm always thinking, God, it's dangerous. Anyway, it says to go with a pizza cutter and line your biscuits all the way down so that when it's baked, it'll be easy to just break into pieces.
Cool. So how long do you bake them for, Jill, and at what temperature?
You bake them, good point. What did I tell you before? Hang on. Bake them at 170 degrees for only 12 to 15 minutes.
That's awesome. Thank you, Jill. We'll leave you to get your biscuits in the oven, and we'll come back to you to do your cheese balls shortly. But in the meantime, we're going to go to Anna. Hi, Anna. How are you?
I'm really good. How is everybody? Is everybody getting hungry?
We're doing pretty well here.
I know. See, everybody's getting really hungry when you watch this. I'm going to apologize in advance because my screen is really, it's glaring at the moment. So I'm just going to try and move. Hang on. Just going to show you up my nose. That's good, isn't it? Hang on. Let's just move that back. So I'm going to be doing pink lemonade. The pink lemonade is actually our new festive cooking experience menu. So if you haven't had a CE for a while, or if you're waiting to have a delivery CE, then there is a new festive cooking experience menu to choose from. Really, some really lovely things. Sorry, my Thermomix just turned.
For those people without a Thermomix, Anna, can you explain what a CE is?
I can. I do love the abbreviation. So cooking experience is when you you host a cooking experience, you invite 2 other guests, and then your consultant comes along with their Thermomix if you don't currently own one, or the lovely thing is when you do the delivery one, we use your Thermomix and we get you cooking. And it's a great way to learn some top tips. And it's just a great way to have a really good conversation. You get to know your consultant and we get to know you guys, which is what we love. So yeah, host awards, you get host awards as well. So the lovely thing about host awards is there's all sorts of things you can utilize. The dough mats that Julia was making is one of them. The thermoserves, which you can't buy in the shops, they're brilliant. And I use all the host awards pretty much as much as I use my Thermomix. Okay, so I'm going to go to make this pink lemonade. I've never made it before. I actually made it before Monday. We had a team meeting on Monday. We decided to make some dishes and we made the pink lemonade, Cyanide did, but instead of adding water, we ginned it. So we
made the adult version.
We made it adult version, which was fun. But my kids, I promised my kids were like, Mum, can you make me pink? And I was like, well, I'm making it on Thursday, so you can have this. Okay, so my screen, as I said, is a wee bit glary. So it's been in my weekly planner. I'm starting to cook. And I'm pressing the button and it's just going to tell me what to do. So for those of you who are waiting for your Thermomix, it's the most exciting time. For those of you who don't have a Thermomix, it is a brilliant way to do recipes that you've never done before because it gives you a lot of confidence in the kitchen. So what it's asking me to do is place 2 lemons, unpeeled and halved. They're just going to go straight in the bowl.
So you put skins and everything?
Skins and everything. Skins and everything. There's a couple of some consultants make pumpkin soups without actually removing the skin as well. The blades are so good it can actually do a lot of things. Okay, so it's asking me for 100 grams of raspberries. So these are just out of the freezer. I know some consultants from different cultures, they use red cabbage, hey, Si, for this.
They do, yeah.
Just like cut. All right, so 100 grams of raspberries are in. I've got 100 grams of caster sugar. And again, I very rarely have caster sugar in my house. I have granulated and I have raw, and I tend to mill down to what I want, okay? So I've got 100 grams of caster sugar in there.
So you could reduce the sugar down if you're particularly worried about your intake? Yeah,
you could. I'm a bit of a sugar lover in this house. It's a terrible affliction. It's more addictive than anything else. So I've got 150 grams of water. This is where Cyanide do gin, okay? And I tell you, it's the most refreshing thing.
We might have to do this quite quickly, Anna, because Steph's sugar modes is just about to finish.
Ooh, okay, this is done. Hang on. And then I'm going to basically muddle this all together. So I'm holding this in place. For 4 seconds, I'm going to speed 10. I'll be muted.
So as I was saying before, speed 10 is a milling speed. So if you make your own flour, especially good for making your own gluten-free flour, this is the speed you run at. So Anna's going to show us what's in her bowl.
I am. Oh, it's good. Okay, so that's what's in my bowl. Okay.
Wow, look at that.
It's just beautiful. So that's basically just going to sit now for 20 minutes. And then I will basically drain it off. Do you want me to drain it off camera? Si?
Yep, if you'd just like to finish the recipe off, we're just going to flick back to Steph. How are we going, Steph? How's our sugar modes?
15 seconds.
How was that for timing? So what Anna's going to do to finish her recipe off, she is going to let her mixture seep for 20 minutes, and then she's going to add 600 grams of water. And that pretty much is a pink lemonade, and we just strain it through. Oh, let's have a look, Steph.
Have a look at the sizzle.
Oh, wow, look at that.
So, next step is to add some dry sherry. So
can I just ask what the smell is that's coming out of the bowl, Steph? Is it quite sugary or?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, after the comments about sugar, I normally am always pulling back on sugar. I also used raw sugar. In any recipe apart from the high temp sugar, stages where you've got to be accurate, I usually pull back on sugar. But this is a dressing, this is a vinaigrette, so you're not using the whole lot all in one go. So we will be making this dressing for this salad, but we'll have plenty for other salads to come. And apparently it's great on roast vegetables and all sorts of things.
Oh, yum.
So here we go, 100.
So, sorry, Steph, what's that you're adding?
I'm adding the dry sherry.
Oh.
I remember the smell from my parents, but it's not something that I normally drink. And then we use it for Christmas puddings, don't you?
Oh, you can do that, or brandy, yeah.
Okay, so now we've got more of the sherry vinegar, 30 grams. That's pretty much finished off my bottle. And then we want 2 pinches of salt to taste. And some pepper.
How long would this keep in the fridge, do you think, Steph?
I'll check the notes. It's really good to, I'm looking at it on my phone as well, which is great, really useful when you're shopping at the supermarket too. I just switch between this app and Countdown's measuring one. So that's going to go for 2 minutes. There's always tips underneath the recipe. So if you scroll down, this one's saying, you know, it creates strong vapors when you're cooking. So I've got the fan on. You need good ventilation. Yeah, we're going to put some smoked almonds in later, but you can put nuts of your choice in. It does have Parma ham. Don't tell the meat eater, but I've skipped that. I've put asparagus in instead tonight. But it says you could use bresaola. Is that some other meat, or prosciutto in this recipe? And it says the vinaigrette can be stored for up to 4 weeks.
Wow.
Serve it as part of a cheese board with roasted grilled vegetables like carrots, parsnips, or drizzled over poached fruit even. Also delicious with waffles and bacon for breakfast. So a good multitasker.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah. So this has got a minute, and I'll just plate it up ready to show you in a minute. Although we're going to do we're going to blitz up feta cheese.
So do you want us to stick with you until you're finish the step, Steph?
You like, rather than swapping backwards and forwards? Up to you.
That's all right. We can hang around and see what you're up to for a little bit longer.
So this is out of a, when you scroll down on the recipes, you'll see it's part of a collection. The recipes are part of a collection which might have 8 to 12 recipes. I think of them like a magazine, or they might be from a book, which you'll see a little disc on, and there might be 60 to 100, 120 recipes. So this one's called How Sweet It Is, and it's got other recipes on there, including the Aussie potato salad, a soup, scallops with pea puree, which look pretty amazing, even to a vegetarian.
Wow.
So this is how I learn about new recipes, and this salad is amazing. That is really worth doing.
Cool.
So,
how's your vinaigrette going? I can't wait to see what it looks like.
Now, it's just not bubbling as much as before, but the next step is we're adding olive oil. So we want 60 grams of olive oil. I love the fact that so many of these recipes, you make it up, so it might be a satay, whatever, but then you've got heaps left over for other recipes. It's not just that one recipe that you're going to be doing. So here we are, it's asking for the measuring cup, and it's just going to speed 4, which is just a gentle mixing speed on the blade. So
this will be quite a hard recipe to make without a Thermomix, because with your sugar modes, you've got to keep that precise temperature going.
Yeah, you just have to do a bit of research how to do it elsewhere. The other cool thing that just happened in the last week or two is on the top right of your screen, I can push preview and I can see the next step, except the step's finished already, so let's move on. So now I'm just going to be putting this, which smells amazing. I'm going to be just putting it aside to cool and thicken, like a lot of sauces. It thickens once you cool it down. And cool. I'm not going to tip it all over the computer screen, but it's I'm at a guess, I would say it's like 400 mils.
That's all good. Hey, thank you for that. We will let you go and thicken your dressing up, and we are going to move over to the lovely Helen. What are you making for us, Helen?
Oh, hi everyone. Tonight I'm going to be making the mixed berry Pavlova stack. So it's very Christmassy, it's very Kiwi, despite what the Aussies might tell us. It's a very Kiwi dish. So I'm going to go through the guided cooking steps here, but I've actually made my berry coulis first because it just needed a little time to cool down. So
how did you make that, Helen?
So I'll actually go through it, Si, because it's first on here. So it's just 200 grams of fresh or frozen raspberries, 100 grams of caster sugar, 20 grams of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and then you're basically just cooking it for 4 minutes at 90 degrees, and that is it. It is so easy, it is so quick. And you can use berry coulis for all sorts of things, ice cream toppings, eaten mess. I made a few, let's call them test pavlovas yesterday, and I crunched them all up with a bit of berry coulis and some whipped cream, and they went down quite nicely. So
wow. I made a white chocolate cheesecake last week, and that had a raspberry coulis to pour on top. But
yeah.
I'm not really a coulis fan, but the other one looks amazing.
Oh, it is so good. And the other one that's really good is the berry jam inside the French macaron recipe. It's got a little bit of lemon with zest and the blackberries. And oh my goodness, it's amazing.
Wow.
Anyhow, I will get on with my pav, and I've got a lovely clean bowl. I've actually just wiped it out with vinegar, because with pav you want a really, really clean bowl. And I've preheated my oven to 150 degrees, and I've lined 2 baking trays with rounds that I've just cut up. I just use a bowl, like a breakfast bowl, and I just trace around that with a pencil. That's around about 20 centimeters, just for the 2 stacks. Okay. So we've done all that. So what I'm doing now, Si, is I'm just going to add in 200 grams of white sugar, because we're actually going to mill the sugar into icing sugar. So I've got, they do it in 2 batches. So I'm just going to watch my scales. I love that the Thermomix just, you scale as you go. It's one of my favorite features. So I've got.
So for those guys watching that missed the recipe name, Helen is making the mixed berry pavlova stack. We've got quite a few pavlova stack recipes on Cockadoo. Last year I made the gingerbread stack, and that was absolutely amazing. So I'm really interested to see Helen's mixed berry one.
Yeah, it looks amazing. I'm really wanting to try the gingerbread one as well. I think that looks amazing. So I've done that. I'm going to pop that in. I've got my lid on, and I'm going to go, and I'm just milling for 15 seconds, Si, on speed 9.
Awesome. That's cool. So as I said before, speeds 9 and 10 are the milling speed. So especially, sorry, Helen, I'm just going to mute you for a minute there. Yeah, so speeds 9 and 10 are milling speeds. So particularly those people who who are gluten-free and they like doing recipes where they cook from scratch, where you mill down buckwheat and rice and things to manufacture your own flour, it's a fantastic mode to use. Okay, I better unmute you again, Helen, so we can hear what's going on. You might have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, so you can see that's a beautiful icing sugar. Because it's quite a lot of sugar, they're asking me to do it in 2 lots. So I'll just very, very quickly do the second lot of icing sugar.
So can you tell us a bit about where you're based, Helen?
Oh, I'm based in beautiful Browns Bay.
Awesome.
Yeah.
How long have you been the consultant?
Not very long. I think, what, 3 months maybe?
Wow, exciting.
Yeah, I'm a real newbie, so be gentle with me. I sometimes get things a little bit wrong. We won't mention the cream incident.
Okay, so while you're just going to mill your second lot of icing sugar, we're just going to flip to the lovely Julia, who I believe has taken her kringle out of the oven.
Exciting. Well,
I have. I've just taken it out of the oven side.
Oh, can we have a look?
Fab.
Oh my goodness, look at that.
I just popped a few rose petals on there. So dried rose petals. If you've got your own organic ones in the garden, you could use those. These ones have just come from Faroes. And you can see the nuts in there. And what I did was I just brushed on with the brush my sugar syrup onto there. And you could, if you wanted to, pop a little bit of icing sugar, which I might do as well. My kids are certainly not averse to a little bit of sugar. So a little bit of icing sugar. Now you could actually pop some fresh berries on this, would be really lovely and festive.
Are you doing contactless delivery to West Auckland?
Of course, Simon. Anything for you?
Woohoo! Hey, that looks awesome. So would you wait for that to cool before you eat it, or would you rather have it a bit warm?
I probably should, but my kids have been saying that they quite like it for pudding, so it may be, I might just take a picture of that for you later, because it might not be there by the time we finish the class.
Oh, that looks so good. Hey, thank you so much for demoing that. Okay. Cool. We're just going to go back to the lovely Helen. Okay, Helen, sorry.
No worries. So I'm just going to put my butterfly whisk in now, Si. And that's just going to help whip these eggs beautifully. So inserted that. Now we've just got 250 grams of egg whites here, and at room temperature. That's quite important to get them at room temperature. I'm going to pop those in. And then I'm just going to go through, and I've got a pinch of cream of tartar.
I've always wondered, what does cream of tartar actually do to the egg whites? Do you know?
It's like anything like acidic. It's just quite good to keep. With pavlovas, you need it very, very dry and very, very sort of clean. And the citric acid just helps that whipping, gets it quite. Julie's probably got a more technical term for it. But it just helps with the whipping and keeping the aeration and things like that in.
Awesome.
So, yes, so you can substitute cream of tartar with a little bit of lemon juice. We're going to put vinegar in later, but it's the same sort of, same sort of idea. So I've got all those in, and I'm just going to take my cup out of my lid, and I'm going to pop that on there. And I'm just going to, it's going to heat up to 37 degrees, which is sort of, roomy temperature, and for 5 minutes, and we're just going to go into speed 3.5.
So once you finish that step, Helen is then going to re-whisk it again and spoon in her sugar, I believe. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Awesome. Well, we're going to leave you for 10 minutes to go through those next couple of steps, and we're going to go back to Jill, who I believe is going to make our cheese balls for us. How you going, Jill?
I've got my biscuits in the oven, and they're looking amazing. So I've got the 3 ways cheese balls. So I'm going to start cooking these, and I've got my sharp cheddar cheese. I must tell you, so this is an American recipe, and for people that are new to Thermomix or haven't quite got one, this is using an imperial measurements, and that's what I love about the Thermomix. You don't have to change it, it just automatically comes up. So this is like 5 ounces of sharp cheddar cheese, and so I just put it on and measured it under with that, so you don't have to convert it or anything. So I've measured all that out. Oh, that's a bit much, but never mind. And then it's saying put in lemon peel, so I've just thinly done the lemon peel, and it's going to mill, and it's going to mill for 6 seconds, speed 7, which isn't very long.
So obviously Jill's been a bit muted there, but what Jill's actually going to make for us is she's going to make a cheese ball 3 different ways. So it's going to be quite exciting.
So there we are. That's it there.
Wow, look at that.
No, it smells so lemony. So now it's telling me to add in the goat's cheese. So I've got the goat's cheese weighed out here. That's 10 ounces. So that was 1.5 packets of goat's cheese.
I love goat's cheese. So yummy.
And then I've got cream cheese, 5 ounces of cream cheese, which I made the other week for my class, and I had some left over. Cream cheese is so easy to make. It's like insanely easy. There we are. And then I had all the whey left over, and I froze it into my little wee poppers that we have, and I've just got it in the freezer. And I made some scones the other day, and everyone was saying to me, "Oh, these scones are so nice." And I said, yes, it's got the whey left over from when I made the cream cheese. So
it's a great tip, isn't it? Whey is amazing.
It is. I've got a chili here. It says a chili flake. Well, I've just got a bit of chili that I'm going to break up. I don't know how strong it is, but never mind. And that's it. That's all it is. So easy. You gave me, we did easy things tonight, Si.
Oh, that's right. After just simple but really tasty festive entertaining options.
And I've got a friend coming over for lunch tomorrow, so she'll have all this to eat on. And it's going to mix for 1 minute. It's going to go to speed 6. Okay.
Cool. So while you're doing that, we're just going to quickly flick back to the lovely Steph, who is ready with the next step of her salad.
Oh.
How you going, Steph?
Very good. Now, I'm glad I've got 2 bowls because I haven't had to wash. So basically, after sugar stages, it's quite important to wash it straight away. So it just told me put in a litre of water and a bit of vinegar, and easy peasy. And then now measured up, and it's telling me put in some almonds, and it's just 1 second on speed 6.
Are you using smoked almonds, Steph, or are you using regular?
I'm just using regular tonight, and I'm just going to use the same measuring cup. So 1 second, and I'll show you how much it made while we do that.
Oh, wow, look at that. That's a huge amount of vinaigrette.
Well, yeah, and the rest, what I'm going to use tonight's in here. So there we go, 1 second, and then so it doesn't want it fully chopped up, so that's a mild chop. Put it aside in the bowl.
So apart from the vinaigrette, this recipe is actually quite quick to do.
Very, very quick. So that's why it's a good one for Christmas, because there's quite a few things you can do in advance, and it looks really Christmassy with the reds and the greens. Now I'm grabbing the feta out of the fridge. So it says Danish feta. Now I'd like to ask Julia, what's our equivalent? Because this is an Aussieism to say Danish feta, I think.
It definitely is an Aussieism, and ours is just a plain feta. So you've got both cow's feta, goat's feta, and sheep's feta, and it's really just a matter of choice as to which one you prefer.
Oh.
I love doing classes with Julia. I learned so much from her.
And you find that some people who have got lactose intolerances can handle a goat's feta better than a cow's feta.
Wow.
5 seconds.
Oh, good. How many times have you made this salad, Steph?
Julia and I actually made it. We did a spectacular sides class about 2 years ago, I think. And this was one of the dishes we did.
And it went down very well.
So that's what it looks like after 10 seconds. It's kind of already whipped up. But
wow.
Now it's asking me to scrape down the sides. So basically it's better to go round the side rather than jab down, because otherwise you'll get lots of cuts on your spatula, which is not a good look. And you don't want
I'd hate to tell you this, Steph, but my spatulas are covered in cuts. I'm a bad consultant.
20% off sale at the moment. Get another spatula, Simon. Okay, so when you're putting this, we're putting the butterfly in. So this is what you use for whipping cream and things. The rule of thumb is, butterfly's got 4 wings for the newbies, non-owners, and you put it in on the 45 between the blades and then turn it slightly clockwise. So it kind of locks in. And then this is just 40 seconds. It's going to aerate it and fluff it up.
So then you put that on the rest of your salad ingredients, is that correct?
Yeah, then you add it, you do a smear onto the plate, and then you're going to drizzle the vinaigrette over it, which is still cooling. So I might wait to the last minute and add that on and just add it to the plate. So if you've got something on the barbecue, chicken or whatever, you could add to it. It's quite versatile, this recipe.
Cool. Thank you for that. We're just going to go back to the lovely Joel. Hey, the lovely Joel. Hi. I've got some questions for you. How do you make cream cheese?
How do I make cream cheese? I buy very good milk. You don't have to. You can buy any milk. It's got to be full cream milk. You heat it up in the Thermomix. And there is a recipe on the recipecommunity.co.au. You can join that as a consultant and that's entirely free. And that's where people put their own recipes on themselves. I've got a few on there. And you're able to log in and look up any recipe. And of course, the new Cookie Dough 3 is out, well, nearly out. And that means that you're going to be able to load your absolute favourite recipes, your mother's recipes, your grandmother's recipes, something you've made up, and something from the recipe community. You're going to be able to load it onto your Thermomix, so you don't have to have your book in front of you and you don't have to have your phone looking up the recipe community. So
I can't wait.
And the cream cheese is just milk, full cream milk, and you bring it up to the heat and then you put in lemon juice and then you let it sit for a while, and then I've got a nut bag and I use the basket and I strain it back into a bowl and let it sit till all the whey has come out, and you've got your cream cheese. Now you can make it sweet, you can add sugar into it, you can keep it savoury, you can add olives into it, you can add chives into it. It's just amazing.
That's awesome. Thanks, Joel.
So I make that, and you do have quite a bit of whey left over, but that's okay because it's very usable. So I want to show you what I've done. So I had to divide these into 3. It's honestly, that's it. Look, it looks like ice cream, doesn't it?
Wow, it looks amazing. So light and fluffy.
I know. So I'm just going to put those in the fridge for a minute. And then what I have over here is, and I have got some almonds, and I accidentally put the pomegranate Ariel in it. I've got some ground up almonds, not ground up, sorry, chopped up almonds. I have some chives out of my garden. And I've got the pomegranate Ariels, and I did have to buy those because at the moment my pomegranate tree doesn't have any pomegranates on it. So there's your Ariels. And what you do is you chill the balls, and then you roll it in those 3 different toppings.
Cool,
and
that's awesome.
I know. And so it's really Christmassy. You've got the red and the green and the white. So
that's going to go so well with your crackers. That's going to look absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Cool. Yes. Well, we'll leave you to chill your cheese balls, and we're going to head back to the lovely Helen. How are we going, Helen? So your egg whites are nicely whipped and you've been spooning the sugar into them?
I have, and they're looking lovely.
Can we have a look?
Yes, you can have a look. So we've got a very white meringue mixture in there. And
oh, wow, look at that.
It's so glossy. So now we're just going to add the corn flour. It's 2 tablespoons of corn flour plus a teaspoon of white vinegar and a teaspoon of vanilla essence. So we will continue.
Awesome. I must admit, Christmas always reminds me of pavlovas. I think growing up, it's always been a tradition that Christmas you always have a pav.
Absolutely, it's such a Kiwi thing as well.
So if you wanted to make this like a hazelnut pav, you would just add crushed hazelnuts into it, or?
Yeah, so you could do that. I know my mum used to put coffee granules and a little bit of chocolate through her pavs, particularly the stacking pavs, because they're a little bit different to, you know, the big fluffy pavs that you get in the supermarket. Is it Cows Pavlovas? So the stacking pavs are really chewy and crunchy and gorgeous. So yeah, nuts or a bit of cocoa or coffee or whatever.
So if you were to add something like that, at what point would you add it to the mixture?
Probably I'd be adding it at this stage here. So I'd be getting all the sugar in and getting that all whipped in nicely, and then just at the end, even I'd probably even just use a metal spoon just to swirl it through, so you get those lovely swirls.
Oh, great idea. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to add these now. I'm just going to go back here and we're going to turn this on, and I'm just adding this while it's still whisking.
All righty. You can sense the concentration on Helen's face as she's doing this. So with the Thermomix, as you can see, there's a little thing called the measuring cup, which sits in the middle of the lid. So you can take the measuring cup out, and it means you can put ingredients in and you can see what's happening in the bowl just by taking it out. So and it gives you access to what's happening inside. Oh. Okay.
Right. So we're just going to remove the butterfly whisk, and I'm just going to scrape it down with my spatula because you get quite a bit of mix. Now, you probably can't see this, so I'm just going to lift up my baking paper. So I don't know if you might not even be able to see that, but I've drawn a very, very faint circle on there. And as I spoon, I'm just going to be using the circle as a guide so that both of my stacks are very even.
So if you wanted to make this into a ring, you would just use like two circles. You'd have a smaller circle inside the bigger one that you wouldn't fill.
Yeah, so if I was making a wreath, I'd probably use more of a general pav recipe, not the stack recipes. And I'd use like maybe a plate for the outside and then trace around a cup in the middle. And then you just, spoon your pav mix on.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, we're going to leave you to spoon your pav because we have got a fantastic cocktail on the way that the lovely Anna has been absolutely waiting to make. How are you going, Anna?
I'm good. I have been waiting. I was going to say, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Anna. I'm a consultant and a team leader based up in Langdafai. So yeah, I'm just going to show you the pink lemonade. It is truly spectacular. So that in a really big jar, lots of ice, absolutely divine. Okay, so my kids have nicked some of those with gin in, really, really good. Okay, so I'm just going to do the lychee sorbet cocktail. So this is a great alternative at Christmas to a Bucks Fizz. You can also do lots of orange sorbets instead, which have a kind of similar effect. So I'm just going to start cooking that now. And so what I've done, I had to actually do some last night. So what I did last night is I got a can of lychees and I drained all the syrup off and I put those into ice cubes. So basically I created ice cubes of lychee sorbet.
Can I just ask, Anna?
Yep.
Julia's just put a question up. She's asking what people's favorite festive dessert is. What would yours be?
In my house, Pav, my husband can eat an entire Pavlova to himself. That's what, if I'd made him a Pav, I would have been able to get a Thermomix 2 years earlier than I actually got. For me, it's Christmas pudding. Oh my God, I'm so British. Christmas pudding and trifle. Oh, Mum makes a good trifle. So,
yes, we've got a trifle. Susan's into trifles.
Yeah, I don't do the jelly bit, but yeah. I have such a sweet tooth, can you tell? I do love desserts. So, another top tip. If you need to get a perfect round, use your thermoserve lid. Perfect round size for Thermomix Pavlovas if you need a disc. Okay. So I've got my lychee. I've got basically my ice cubes, my lychee ice cubes. They smell divine. I'm going to keep those there for a sec. But so what are they asking me to do? So basically what I've done, because I've done the first bit, I've just stepped through it. So remember, even though Cookie Do is guided cooking, you are still in complete control. So you just skip through the steps, or you can actually go into the recipe and click on the step you need, and it takes you directly to where you are. Okay. All right. So basically what it's asking me to do, I'm going to mill some more sugar. So it's got 30 grams of sugar, and it's also asked for a sprig of fresh mint. So I'm just going to pop that into my bowl. And I'm going to blitz that up. So I end up with a beautiful mint. It's going to smell beautiful, beautiful mint sugar or icing sugar. So that's
Isn't
just 10
that the
seconds.
start of a great cocktail? The whole mint and sugar together. Oh, you just know when those two ingredients are milling down, you're going to be in for a total winner. So Diane was saying that she planned to make this cocktail for brunch one Christmas, but didn't read the recipe and hadn't pre-frozen the lychee juice.
Yeah, well, truthfully, last night I was just about hopping to bed and I just went, oh my gosh. So I did that literally just before I went to sleep. So it's a good job that I remembered that one. Yeah, there's so many amazing cocktails, guys. What other things would you do on Christmas morning, or just generally kind of as summer is coming? Okay, so that is my sugar and mint. Oh, it does smell great. I'm just trying to sort out a mint plant. So this was sitting on my bedroom window. I'm just going to scrape the sugar down a wee bit. Okay, so it's asking me to add the lychee fruit. So there's my lychee fruit, okay, which was just kept in the fridge. So
how big a can of that was Anna?
They come in quite, I think they come in like 360, you know, the slightly large tins. So they're not your standard like baked bean tin, they're just the slightly larger versions, and they're perfect. I can go find one, I've got one in my pantry. And then you've got the ice cubes. So that's going in.
So last time I checked on Cockadoo, there were around 170 cocktail recipes. So if you can't find a cocktail on Cockadoo that you like, I'd say you've got a problem.
Well, the fact that how did you know that really is the question. But also, if you can't find a cocktail you like on Cockadoo, the recipe platform also. So I actually made a frozen mudslide last weekend. That's not on Cookie Do. I'll be putting it on the recipe platform because that just took me back to my youth and TGI Fridays and things like that. It was awesome. Anyway, right, I'm going to blitz that all together. Okay. So 10 seconds, speed 8. It's going to blend all that beautiful ice and all the goodness up.
Oh, good. Okay. I can't wait to see what this looks like. I absolutely love lychees.
Oh, it smells so good. Okay, so. Oh, yeah, that's quite nice already. So I've got some sparkling wine. Now, I actually just picked this up in a real hurry and I've realized it's rosé. So I'm going to have I've got two pink drinks tonight. It'll taste good. Okay, so 400 grams of sparkling wine, chilled, has to be chilled. There's also the most amazing cocktail that you can make called a fruze, which you are
a few people have mentioned that.
Yeah, you're freezing the a bottle of rosé, and then you're pretty much doing exactly the same with a bottle of rosé. That I think is on the recipe platform. That's not on Cookie Do, eh?
So for those of you guys without a Thermomix, what Anna did, because the Thermomix has got scales built into it, she can just pour the wine straight in, and on the screen it shows the weight.
Yeah. When I go to cooking experiences, it's the one I do measure, and it's quite interesting. They're like, do I just need to pour? And I said, it will be exact. Don't worry. I do have some for me, some for my Thermomix. Okay, so on speed 2, it's going for 15 seconds. And what that's just doing is just mixing all that up. And it's quite sedate after the blitzing kind of thing. What you tend to find with the noise, it tends to be very, very small. You're mostly cooking on kind of 1 and 2. Okie dokie.
So how are you going to serve this, Anna? Are you going to do a garnish on the side, or what's your plan?
I'm just going to basically transfer it into a glass. It's got some fresh. You can put just a fresh raspberry on the rim if you want to. I was always told I knew a few very good bartenders in my life, don't serve a garnish unless you can eat it.
Oh, so, I love that tip.
Yeah, and that's the same with food as well. So I've got a champagne flute. To be honest, with the Thermomix, it has a wide lip, so I probably should put it in a jar first, but hey, we'll wing it. The old-fashioned champagne flutes would be beautiful for that, the wider lipped ones. So, oh, it's got real, oh my God, that smells so good. Sorry.
Wow, look at that.
Okay, so let me, can you see that glass? Yep, so it's just got,
now,
it's got a real
don't embarrass yourself.
Oh, no pressure. Okie dokie, there we go. So that actually looks really pretty.
It does.
It's got a really beautiful pink tinge to it. I have to try it.
And what's it like?
So oh, it's just delicious. It's light, it's refreshing, definitely has a sweet twang. So you could reduce the sugar load down. But oh yes, you could get through those quite happily sitting outside in the sunshine.
Cool. Hey, thank you so much, Anna. We're going to switch back to Helen. And Helen is going to finish her pav up for us.
Yeah, I am, Si. So again, I've got my butterfly whisk and I'm popping that in. And we're going to be whipping some cream. So I'm just going to go through there. Now we're just putting 600 grams of whipping cream in, straight into the bowl. Okay. Next. And then we're going to insert the measuring cup into the mixing bowl lid. And then we are going to turn the speed selector to 3.5. Okay, so we're going to pop that on now. Oh.
Cool. So I hear you've got a pav pre-made for us.
I have, and I'm just going to take this off now so I can just watch my cream whipping. So I'm just going to give that a little bit of a, just a little bit longer.
So one of the things is that obviously when you're whipping cream, you want to keep an eye on it. So this is when it's really handy to take that measuring cup out. So you can just look down through the lid and see what point your cream is at. Also really handy when you're cooking, when you're whisking egg whites as well. So when you hit your stiff peaks or your soft peaks.
Yeah, just going to give it a little bit longer. And we're perfect. We're perfect.
Woohoo!
Right, Si. And they've actually, this, which is quite cool, is they're asking us to add some raspberries. So it's going to be like a raspberry cream, which I really, really love that idea, especially for Christmas. Just that little bit of red. Just is lovely. But I'm just going to take out my butterfly whisk first, if I can. There we go. Lovely. And it's perfect cream.
Wow, look at that go.
Yeah, and that wasn't long. I think that was 24 seconds. So not too bad. I'm just going to pop my 20 grams of raspberry.
So you could use any berries in that, I'm guessing?
Yeah, absolutely. Even a bit of, like really cold coulis, I think would be fine. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
My grandmother always put in her whipped cream for desserts a little bit of icing sugar and a tiny little bit of vanilla essence, and that was so yummy. Like as a kid, cream always tasted better than anyone else's. Right, so we're going to pop that, and we're just going to speed select it 2 for 10 seconds.
Oh, good. Wow, I'm looking forward to seeing this recipe made. As I say, I have made the gingerbread pavlova stack, but I've not made the mixed berry one.
Yeah. So Right, so I have made some stacks earlier.
Wow.
Yeah, so actually, my timer's just gone off on my watch, because when we're baking the pavs, we start them at 150 degrees, and then after 10 minutes, we turn the oven down to 120. So I'm just going to quickly go and do that.
Sure, go for it.
Lovely. And we're back.
Can I just ask, Helen?
Hmm?
You know how you're a fairly new consultant.
Hmm?
What's the best part of being a consultant? What do you think?
Look, I love food, and I love sharing food with people, and I think it's probably the people that you meet,
Okay.
the experiences that you have, and also it's learning. Like I've learned so much on the journey, and it's just cool seeing other people learn, and other people, just find joy in doing things that they didn't think that they could do before they had a Thermomix. So
cool. Yeah, everyone's got their own reasons, but I absolutely love it for the same reason. It's a good way to earn money, and you meet all sorts of awesome people along the way, and just sharing your passion.
Yeah.
Alrighty, I'm looking to see how you're going to finish this pav off.
And look, the other really cool thing about cookie dough is it gives you such good instructions. So it tells you how to assemble this. So they're asking us to put one meringue disc onto a serving plate or a platter, and then top it with half of the raspberry cream. Okay, so I'm just going to get this raspberry cream through, and it's just, hopefully you can see,
wow,
it's just dotted nicely with a little bit of, it's actually almost pink, which is just lovely. Now they sort of said mixed berries, but I've got through a whole heap of different fruit today. I've got pomegranate arrows, I've got some boysenberries, I've got some blueberries, and I've also got some strawberries. And I've actually cut the strawberries up in quite different sizes, because I think when you're decorating a dessert, it's really, really nice to have sort of different shapes, colors, things like that, just to make it really, really beautiful. So I'm going to do that. So we've put on our cream, and then we're going to put half of the mixed berries. So I'm going to put in probably I'll put in a little handful of blueberries, because they're always good. Dot a few more around. Don't want to put too many on this layer, because I want my next layer to sit really, really nicely. So I've got a few blackberries and some pomegranate arrows that will just sort of drizzle in there.
So is this going to be on your table on Christmas Day, do you think?
Yes, probably, but I'm definitely having the brownie trifle. I had my dad pick out some recipes he'd like for Christmas, and that was one that he really thought
that's so nice.
Do with. So here's my coulis. So I'm just going to drizzle a little bit of coulis through here too. Now I'm going to be quite rustic with this, because I want some of the coulis just to drip down, because I think that looks really nice when you're layering. Just have a peek of what's inside. And I'm just going to grab my other disc. So we're going to pop that on top.
That looks so luxurious. Wow.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm just going to do a little bit, just the same idea, but I'm going to heap a lot more of the fruit on top, just to make it look cool.
Cool. We're just gonna pop over to Steph, who's now ready to show us her finished strawberry salad.
Lovely.
And then we'll come back to you when you're done.
Perfect.
Okay.
That was mesmerizing, watching that pav top layer go sink down like a lift. That was cool.
It's quite interesting to watch, eh? Okay. Wow. Oh wow, look at your salad.
Okay. So I'm trying not to spill it on my laptop. So you can see the feta in the background, and I've drizzled over the vinaigrette, and there's that jar full for all sorts of other things. So you can see the nuts on top. So nice and Christmassy. But what I like is you could have washed the spinach, chopped up the strawberries the day before, and it just makes, if you did it on, Christmas Day or for an occasion, you can have prepped a lot of these components ready to just, you could have pretty much done it all in advance, really.
And it's quite an exotic looking salad as well. It's not like something you'd expect to see on a table.
No, well, yeah, it's just, I think it's all about the colour. I think you eat with your eyes. I'm looking forward to seeing Jill's recipe, because I made that one for my daughter's engagement party, and it was the pièce de résistance on this big platter of things.
Cool.
It's amazing. So yeah, it's all about the colour.
That's awesome. Thank you. Speaking of Jill, I think Jill's ready to present her finished dish. How we go? Oh, Jill, that looks amazing.
Yes, so the crackers, oh look, I've been nibbling at the crumbs. I can't help myself. They're gluten-free, so I don't feel bad.
Wow, they look so good.
Oh, they are. They're just so tasty. Like, oh, and then these are my 3 different cheese balls.
Wow.
So, and as far as goat's cheese goes, I always have goat's cheese. So I buy it, chop it into cubes, put it into a jar and cover it in oil. And that stops it from going off, and it can last in your fridge for ages.
Oh, wow.
And it's for, like, I'm slightly dairy intolerant, so I enjoy it anyway. So
wow,
there
that's
they
awesome.
And honestly, I tasted it, and oh, the lemon peel through it is just lovely. Now, what you could do if you wanted to, I just thought about it, when you're doing that cheese, you could actually do the lemon peel and you could do a bit of mint, and that would be nice. Oh, I've got some on my face, a biscuit.
Jill, so
yeah.
what type of oil do you use to cover your cheese?
What kind of oil? You can use vegetable oil. I don't actually buy vegetable oil per se. I'll buy sunflower oil, or what's the other, or rice bran oil, and olive oil. If it's a really heavy olive oil, it can, yeah. And also, I'll give you a wee tip. So what you do is, in your jar, you put in a bit of rosemary, you can put some peppercorns, you can put some capers, and you put all that in. Then you chop up your cheese, and then you pour your oil over it and just give it a little toss. And you know that marinated feta that you buy in shops in a jar, that's a ludicrous price. Well, you've done your own. You've marinated it.
Oh, that's an awesome tip. I love that. Cool. Thanks, Jill. Okay, I can see Helen has finished her pav. Oh, that looks amazing.
Wow.
Gosh, look at that.
I've got very blueberry fingers, so I'm just trying to unmute myself. It's hang on, I'm just going to pop that out. Hopefully you can see. It is quite a rustic pav, but it's just so lovely. I love the stack. I love the rustic look with pavs. And the other thing I have, which isn't in the recipe, but I really like for Christmas, is mint leaves. I feel like it's a little bit sort of like holly in the ivy, and it just sort of makes it that little bit more Christmassy. So yeah, don't be afraid to sort of play around with what you like the look of and what means Christmas to you. Yeah.
Cool. Hey, Vicky's just got a question. She's asking, how long after you put the pav together should it be served?
I would say straight away, generally with the fresh cream, but these stacks are actually quite versatile because they are a little bit chewier than your regular big fluffy pav. So if you're putting it in the refrigerator, I'm sure it would be fine the next day, but generally I would be stacking it and serving it fairly close.
Cool.
You can
That's
actually
awesome.
do it a little bit earlier, and you'll get more marshmallowy. If you've got a stack of 3, the middle one will basically turn into marshmallow if you've got cream in between the 2.
Cool. Thank you, Julia.
No worries.
So that's pretty much our class, guys. I'm just going to add all the presenters into the same screen so you can see everyone. So hey, thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute honour, and I really hope that the class we presented to you tonight was of service. And please, by all means, these recipes are great for Christmas. They're all very, very tasty. And as you can see from the ladies who cooked tonight, some of the dishes look complicated, but they're actually not. And you got some real wow dishes there. So thank you very much for joining us.